Good morning. Oh, well, spoilers. Man United won't be a football manager. Fuck, it's already on the screen. You've seen it. But anyway, good morning. Let me get rid of it for now. So we can just talk. We will talk about that, but not just yet. How are we all doing? Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day. How are you doing? I'm joined by the man that we call Baby. I was going to drag it out, but I thought Discord would kill it. I'll read Pip.
Good morning, Graham.
See that?
I was holding that G in for a while then.
He had a mouthful of good morning then, and I interrupted him.
I'm good, man. Are you good?
Yeah, not too bad. How are we all doing? Welcome into the chat. If you are with us, we are live. It's 10 a.m.-ish. 10 a.m.-ish.
10 to 12.
It's 10 to 12. It's 12 minutes to 12, actually. We have an extra 2 minutes there. Stop throwing those 2 minutes away. They are valuable. Anyway, welcome in. The reason we say it's 10 a.m.-ish, if you don't know, my name is Graham. This is Bib. We are Ice Cream Uploads in a true Ice Creamy fashion. This is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video games podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. Anyway, we go live on Twitch at 10 a.m.-ish each and every single weekday. 10 a.m.-ish. And the reason there's an ish is because we work in the video games industry. The work stuff comes first, and we fit in the scoop around the works. So it's around 10 a.m., usually between 10 and 12. It's 12 minutes to 12. So it's now 11 minutes to 12. So you get the point. Anyway, 10 a.m.-ish. But if you are live with us at 10 a.m.-ish on Twitch each and every single weekday, please do feel free to get involved in the chat. We turn this live stream into a podcast, a video that goes on YouTube, and an audio podcast that goes on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud and Google Play. Lots of places where we do go live on demand. I don't know if that's the thing, live on demand. You know what I mean? It's fine. Nice. Anyway, so everyone can watch and listen on demand. They get all the benefits of watching in the car, on the bog, whilst they go for a stroll. They can fast forward and rewind, but what they can't do is get involved in the chat, and that's where you guys are important. If you're live on Twitch, please feel free to get involved in the chat. I can see you're already starting to do that, which is beautiful. It's beautiful. But yeah, please do feel free to get involved on behalf of everyone else watching and listening on demand a little bit later on. Before we jump into the show, just a casual reminder, ! loot drop. We do a giveaway for our subscribers. We absolutely appreciate the fact that you guys subscribe and support our channel, so we like to give a little bit something back. One subscriber each and every month gets a prize. For the last 2 months, we've been giving these away because you guys wanted them. So, yeah, West hasn't had his, and Chappers hasn't had his, pandemic life. It is what it is. But Chappers will get his, no doubt, soon. West a little bit later on. I'm actually waiting for Chappers to get his before I order Wests, because the last time I ordered one while we had one in progress, they both came with the same name. So Gary got Precision's name on his, it was on his parcel rather than on his shirt, but just didn't want to do that anyway. As well as that ! Insert coin. If you want to get involved with the coin arm, and myself and Babe stream over on Insert Coin's channels. We do have another stream coming up. It must be like a couple of weeks away now. Ish,
yeah,
something like that. So we stream over on Insert Coin's channels. Insert Coin, if you don't know who they are manufacturers of some of the best, I say some of the best gaming merch in the world. We wear a lot of their stuff on streams because they give it to us for free, and the beautiful people, and Chatbot is dead. Fuck's sake, I'll bring it back. God damn it. You can tell I restarted my PC over the weekend. Yeah, nice. Okay, that will load up. But anyway, we do have a 20% discount code if you want to save yourself some money at Insert Coin. ICU21 is the code. It should say when Chatbot is back alive. But good weekend, babe.
Yes, it was actually. Like Friday, obviously we streamed. We did the scoop. We streamed. My back was in bits. I went and got some deep freeze rub. Samantha put that on my back, and it felt my back was burning for about 2 hours, but it released all the tension that was in there, or whatever the fuck. So I played golf on Saturday. It was a good decision until it absolutely pissed it down. Like, I was on the court. I took 2 sets of clothes because I knew it was going to rain. Wane? It's going to wane. So I put my waterproof-ish clothes on, and then it stopped for about half an hour. I thought, fuck this, I'm not walking around with wet clothes on for the rest of the day. So then decided to put my dry clothes on. Yeah, it pissed it down again, didn't it? So I had 2 sets of clothes that was piss wet through. But it was good. Played in Rochdale. First time I've played up there. But yeah, it was quality. And then yesterday I watched a couple of films. The new Suicide Squad, great film. A film called Pig. I don't know if you've heard of it. It sounds shit. It's like Taken, but with a pig, and Nicolas Cage is in it. But it's a really good film.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah, it's actually a really, really good film. I thought it was going to be dog shit, but it was
Pig shit.
good. And then, yeah, and then watched a load of people just do nothing. So that's my weekend in a nutshell. But I want to know about your weekend and how much sleep you ended up getting.
Not much last night. Little one noisy as hell. Nice, great. So not much sleep last night. Friday though, did have Friday off, and I didn't even watch the scoop on Friday. I thought, do you know what, sod Bib, sod that guy, and his 14 kill wins in Fortnite on stream and stuff like that. Sod that guy. I went to the Trafford Centre and got more slim chickens. It was fucking good. It's good. Then did a mooch around the Trafford Centre Saturday. Can't remember what I did on Saturday, but yesterday we went into Manchester Shistershire, got some food from the Arndale food court, which was gash. Came back home and thought, do you know what, Arndale food was pants. Instead, got to make our own food. And I say we, Danielle and Chloe made it. They made homemade meatballs in some sort of like meaty, gravy, cheesy. It was fucking incredible. I will post some. Baby's seen some pictures and a video of it. I will post them into the Discord. It looks incredible. It was incredible. So yeah, basically, I ate myself massive again. Yay! What a weekend. Did watch a film.
Bike far in the front room though, innit?
Yeah, that's what I'm using all the time. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. I also watched a film. What did I watch? Jungle Cruise. So Disney's Jungle Cruise. The Rock and Emma. Really good film. Good film. That if you haven't watched it, definitely would recommend. It's good. It's good. Let's jump in the chat. Let's see who else is here. Fixer was here nice and early. Hey, how you doing? Ads, Vern, Tito. Alrid. Actually, I'm saying Alrid. Ads used our exclusive animated subscriber remote. That's one of the two subscriber remotes that has an exclusive audio track, which sounds a little bit like this. Ish. All right, mate.
Hello.
Yeah, you goddamn right. Mr. Bearded Edge himself, Callum. Alrid, good sir. How the devil are you? How was the weekend?
How was the weekend?
11:30-ish, says Ads. You goddamn right. Mr. T's in the chat. Alrid, Tito says, don't fall for it. I bought Graham's Live. Slim Chickens was average. You got it delivered. Get out of here. I also watched Jungle Cruise. I know why we both liked it. Graham, hashtag dad jokes. No comment.
No. Yeah, when I was watching it, I thought Graham's going to fucking love this.
No comment. Nope. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Goddamn right. But yeah, Slim Chickens. If you're getting any form of chicken, do not get it on Uber Eats ish. Do you know? I'm gonna show you what we had. So this was oh no, phone rotating. Okay, I'm gonna have to sideways on. That was this week's Slim Chickens. We basically doubled up on what we had before.
Yep.
And
why not?
And yeah. As for yesterday's foodie stuff, I'll like I said, I'll put it in the Discord. I'd show you the picture, but there's a video of us scooping the meatballs out, and it's blah, 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 blah. So I'll put that on the Discord if anyone wants to drool. Nice.
Nice and nice.
You goddamn right. Anyway, let's jump into some news. That's what we're all here for. We are here to talk about the biggest, the best, and breaking stories in the world of video games. And you will have seen, if you follow us on social media, or you just joined at the very start of the show, because I had it on screen like an umpty. Today's big story is that Man United, Manchester UFC, Man UFC, something like that. Anyway, that's what they will be called in Football Manager. Manchester United will not be appearing in Football Manager. There has been an ongoing dispute. We did report on that about 6 months ago-ish, whenever it first happened. We gave you all the updates, and now there is a fresh update to that. So Manchester United will not be appearing in Football Manager. That will be the first news story of the day. We'll then jump into talking about the Steam Deck. Anyone that is interested in getting a Steam Deck, anyone that's pre-ordered, I know Mr. T has already. The Steam Deck is Valve's Switch, basically, but unlike the Switch, which plays decent when you've got it in your hands, and then if you dock it, it upscales to give you the best performance. Valve have gone the opposite way. They will give you the best performance when it's mobile or docked. You don't have to dock it. It will be the best throughout. We'll give you all the details of how and why. Then we'll jump into the fact that there's a new South Park game coming, and then we'll finish up with a look at an old school trailer for Duke Nukem Begins, which was scheduled. I think it was it scheduled for 2008 or was it canned in 2008? Either way, it's a 13-year-old trailer, and we get a look at that. But Bib, I know you're a big Manchester United fan. Sadly, you're not going to be playing Football Manager as Manchester United, Bib.
Well, I wanted to do a new career mode like next year. Start from the very bottom and work my way up. And using Man United would absolutely be probably the best team to be able to use. You know what I mean? You're trying to regain glory days. Bottom of the league, Man United. Lackluster. Used to be decent. Got no pulling power anymore. You want to go for those types of saves, and yeah, Man United probably would be the ideal option.
How many games have United lost this week?
Very good point.
Anyway, let's jump into the news.
We're not going to talk about
that. Chris Scullion at VGC says, Football Manager will no longer use Manchester United's name following a trademark dispute. The team will instead be called Manchester UFC from Football Manager 2022 onwards. Future games in the Football Manager series will not refer to Manchester United by its actual name following a trademark dispute. In a tweet posted today, this was actually posted 3 days ago, by the way. In a tweet posted today, the official Football Manager account stated Manchester United and Sega have agreed a settlement to amicably resolve their trademark dispute relating to Football Manager. Both parties are pleased to resolve this matter to their mutual satisfaction. When asked by a follower what this would mean going forwards, the account replied that from Football Manager 22, the team will instead be called Manchester UFC or Man UFC, not the fighting championships, by the way. According to Sega, the name changes were only made to settle a dispute on a no admissions basis. This means even though Sega will stop using the Manchester United name, this doesn't mean it's admitting it was in the wrong to do so. Quote, Sega and Sports Interactive maintain that they do not need a license to use the Manchester United name, but have made the change as a gesture of goodwill so that both parties can move on, it tweeted. Football Manager games feature real team and player names for the most part, but some teams have fake names and players due to licensing issues. In Football Manager 20, Juventus was renamed Zebre, while the German and Japanese national teams have fake player names. The PC version of the name, should that be a game even? The PC version of the game has an active modding community on Steam where players upload unofficial updates which replace the fake team, player, and competition names with real ones. Shout out to modding communities, you beautiful people making video games exceptional since day one. But Manchester United will not be in Football Manager. Bib, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably an issue for a small number of people who play this game. Because, like you say, you can have an option file put into this game to remove the fake German teams and replace them with the proper ones because they don't have a license for the Bundesliga. There isn't actually. I don't think there is a football game of sorts. It doesn't matter what it is that has the Bundesliga like in full. Is there? Maybe FIFA. I think FIFA does actually.
FIFA does, yeah.
Yeah, I think FIFA might be the only one, but like the Bundesliga, like for Football Manager and for like PES, you just can't get the license into it. It's like they just don't sell the license to it unless it's either a stupid amount of money or someone. You know what I mean? To try and get it is you just can't do it. But anyway, modders have been able to do this in Football Manager for years, so that's never really been that much of a problem. But I think this is a much bigger. I didn't realize that Football Manager didn't have partnerships with most clubs. Like, I thought they had to give consent to be able to use their name in the game because the Premier League doesn't have logos. You have to download them yourself and put them in. They don't have play faces. You have to download them and put them in yourself, only for the teams that are not licensed. So your Man United are fully licensed. Well, there was licensed in the game. They had Manchester United that had the full Man United squad. They just didn't have the play faces. They didn't have the stadium images. They didn't have the team logo. It didn't have manager faces. So, like, the Premier League doesn't have any of that, barring I think they might have one. I think they might have one team. I can't remember who it might be. It might have been Leicester, maybe. I know Watford are sponsored by them, but they're not the Premier League, so it doesn't really matter. But the whole EFL, the whole EFL, like the Championship League One, League Two, all of those are licensed, so that's absolutely fine. So I think this will probably not have that much of effect, really, because they're called Manchester UFC. Like you know who they're going to be, but I thought they'd have to have conversations to be able to use their names in the first place. I didn't realize they could just go ahead and use the team name without any kind of consent. But why have United done this? Is my bigger question. Is it because they just want to look after their brand, or was there an ulterior motive behind this?
Yeah, it's got to be money. It has to be money. Just run through the comments before we jump in. Kind of pointless though. In before day one mod fixing this, says Iceman. Tito says not man red. Ad says Konami's fault. Iceman says, wait, didn't Football Manager get the Bundesliga license recently? They could have done, to be fair. I don't pay that much attention to Football Manager in terms of... Well, to be fair, I don't pay that much attention to licensing in general, but that's probably because I'm a PES person. Obviously, I'm aware of the major headlines for licensing stuff, but generally it's not something I keep my eye on, unless it's major stories like this for like big changes, tectonic movement kind of stuff. I might be wrong, but it was hard to find some mod files for Man United in FM 2020. Badges, etc., were often missing. Wake me up before you go. Who needs Messi when you've got Kyogo? Says Ads. Everyone is the answer to that question. That's who needs Messi when you've got Kyogo. Everyone. They had the Bundesliga in 2020. There you go. Nice. Well, yeah. Why is this happening? Because of the Mones. I don't know how far licensing and branding goes. So obviously, you can reference any country, any city, any town, any geographical location at all. So that's the reason why we see like Manchester Blue, Manchester Red, Merseyside Blues, and stuff like that in the PES, because having Merseyside is geographical. There's nothing you can't copyright a place, not in that sort of sense. And I believe that there is some grey area. And I think this is the thing. Nobody knows exactly where. I mean, someone will do when it comes down to like full-on copyright law, but I don't know how far that goes into using something that is so commonplace like Manchester United. If you were to call it like an actual physical representation of Manchester United Football Club and have their crest, which is a visual registered trademark and all of that sort of stuff, then yeah, fair enough. But just referencing Manchester United, I'm not sure if that actually breaks copyright. I believe it could do, but it also could not. Most people assume it does because that's the natural thing. It's called Manchester United. It's a football club. It's something that they've made. It's their brand. But there's all sorts of intricacies in terms of when it comes to fair usage and how ingrained it is within normal society. There's also other things in terms of how synonymous that is. Like, say if Manchester United, as soon as you mention the words Manchester United, you're talking about that specific football team, which most people would think you are, then that's brand infringement. But there's all sorts of like minute details in there that make it difficult. And I think that's where Football Manager are coming from, saying, look, all we're doing is referencing something that anyone can reference anyway. It's just a name. It's just two words. We're not referencing Manchester United Football Club Limited or whatever, the full official legal name or whatever. It's just Manchester United or Man United or Man U or whatever they want to call them. Manchester UFC. But maybe not. But yeah, and I think that's a little bit of it as well, because if it was clear brand infringement, I don't think United would have let this go. If there's a little bit of grey area and United know that they've kind of allowed and endorsed this brand infringement until it suits them, until it doesn't suit them, or until they want to make some money from it. Even with all of that sort of stuff, okay, actually, let me explain. For those that may have missed the original story, Football Manager used the name Manchester United within its games, as well as all the other teams that it may use their real world names within the game. And Manchester United were aware of this, despite the fact that they last year wanted to take them to court and said, look, we don't like the fact they're using this. We want to take you to court. We want to claim for the fact that you're profiting off our game. Yet Manchester United staff, Manchester United players, Manchester United social media interacted with Football Manager content, be that saves, be that gameplay, be that getting promotional boxes and materials for years, until they put that in. Someone clearly on a money hunt went, actually, do you know we're not getting paid for this and we should be getting paid for this? Oh, okay, well, let's just take them to court, and didn't do their due diligence and gone, okay, we've actually been promoting this for like 7 years because we all fucking love the game. So that I think, combined with the minutiae of the intricacies of the licensing and fair usage just by using wording within a game for a name, I think that has probably all sparked up for United to go, okay, we'll just stop it. We'll all agree to stop it. Which I don't know where I feel like I sit on this, because I like the fact that you can just go, okay, that's Manchester United. Yes, it doesn't have the logo. Yes, they're not playing at Old Trafford. but maybe they are. I don't know. But it doesn't have all of the intricacies. There's no kits. There's no sponsors. There's none of all that sort of stuff in there. But it's Manchester United. We know what it is for all intents and purposes. Calling it Man UFC, I know what it is. Just like Man Red, I know what that is. So the fact that there wasn't any standing up against that, I quite liked. But also, I also like the fact that brands want to control their own brands, and not just in sports. The thing with sports and football clubs, and we even actually saw it yesterday with Messi, is football clubs are so big and so rich that people think, well, fuck you. You should give your brand and money to other people. I saw loads of people yesterday saying Messi should be playing for free, which is actually not the issue, but Messi should be playing for free because, you know, he's earned so much. If he really wants to stay at Barcelona, he should be playing for nothing. And it's like, okay, well, you go to work and tell your boss that you will work for nothing. That's not how the world works. It's a capitalist society. He's supposed to be making money off of his skills. If you're good at something, don't do it for free. Is a bit of a general statement, but it's a statement that people mention all the time. So Messi, United, the Bundesliga, Juventus, whatever, they've built themselves up to be in a position where people want to use their branding and likenesses, and that is a strength. So just because they've built themselves to the point where people should want to use them, also it should be a case of why shouldn't they get to make money off the work that they've put in? If you've put the work in to build yourself into something massively successful, there's not a threshold where you've gone, that's it, you're so successful now you don't get any money for it. You have to give it up for free. What? No? Okay.
I wonder why they couldn't get the license for it though. Like, Football Manager is probably one of the biggest games. Well, then again, I say that like I'm definitely in an echo chamber because everybody I know plays Football Manager. Apart from you, you are literally the only person that I know that's massive. That's a massive football fan that doesn't play Football Manager. Everybody I know does, whether or not it's the mobile version or the PC version. So I'm definitely in an echo chamber of how popular this game is. I think I seen a tweet from Miles the other day saying that it sold 2 million copies worldwide for Football Manager. That is genuinely a drop in the ocean compared to how much the likes of PES and FIFA and well, yeah, they're the only really other two football games, but it's it's nothing compared to the numbers of the actual football games. So maybe they genuinely can't afford it. But we'd seen that they just spent £1 million worth of rights for the women's side of the game as well. So obviously they're making a nice chunk of change somewhere, and maybe they're getting all of their money from the likes of football clubs using this as a database. So they will rent their database out, or you could buy a specific part of their database for X amount of money, which obviously we will never know about. So it's interesting that they haven't managed to secure the rights for it. It's surely FIFA isn't the only way that anybody can secure a Premier League license for a game without the use of a database mod.
I mean, you can. I think it's more money sort of thing. So, Football Manager and SI have obviously enough money to splash on the women's game, and they probably could buy the Premiership license because I think there's all sorts of different ways you can buy it. FIFA have bought it exclusively as a football game license, but a managerial game license would be something different unless FIFA have locked that down too within their licensing. I think I seem to remember, I could be wrong on this, so don't take this as gospel. I seem to remember conversations around Football Manager investigating, looking at buying the Premiership license, and then choosing not to because of the value for money that they would get. They sell the game anyway. They don't need the license, and the cost that license, like, they won't drop the license going, okay, let's say it's 10 million. I don't know what it is. Let's say they go 10 million to get the license for a year. Football Manager go, okay, well, we'd go to 1 million. And they go, oh, no, that's it. And they would just not sell it at all. They'd rather not sell it and hold for the 10 million than drop down to 1 million and devalue the product. So Football Manager going, okay, we don't need it, so we'll just not bother. I could be wrong. I'm fairly sure that was something I read half a decade ago. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I fully agree with them. You're not getting paid for it. Why should you be able to use it for free? Like, that's just business, isn't it? Like, why should you profiteer off somebody else's name without having to pay for the usage? It's not as if people aren't going to mod it anyway to put it in there regardless. But from the very top, why should you? This is a no-brainer in my opinion.
I mean, it's like let's say Ice Cream uploads and The Scoop becomes the world's, not just the UK's #1 video game podcast, but the world's video game podcast. So much so that just putting Ice Cream Uploads or The Scoop on the name of your product makes it get more searches, which means you earn more money off of the back off of our brand. I mean, that's why people always put other creators. Like if you're looking at YouTube or Twitch, they will always put other creators in their stream titles or their YouTube videos. Dr. Disrespect banned from Twitch. Something with Ninja, because people search for Dr. Disrespect and search for Ninja. And if you just made a video and it's just the algorithm go, okay, well, that's the exact search term, and you've just made a video on it, here's content. So you can understand why people do it for news and content. Okay, well, that's fair enough. That's just reporting. That's fair use stuff. But if you're doing it to sell products and using it within something that you're making money off, in that sort of sense, I mean, there are still grey areas for content creation of what's fair use and not. But using it for something that is purely a commercial product, then yeah, I absolutely agree. It is different. I mean, I still kind of would like to see United just let it go. It's fine. But where does that stop? Like, where does it stop in that sort of sense? I would like to see it because I'm a greedy consumer. If that was my brand, I'd be more protective as well. Completely understandable. Completely understandable. It's a lot of people go, well, you don't see that with Fulham. And it's like, yeah, but Fulham are not Manchester United. Fulham are not Juventus. They are different beasts entirely. Very few clubs are in that upper echelon. And once you're there, you've broken fucking your back getting there. You want to make sure that you protect and you profit from all of the work that you and 3 generations of footballers and backroom staff and managerial teams have put in before you to make sure you get money out of it. So it makes sense. Only one way this was ever going to go, says Mr. T, this way. Using Manchester United and products sold 1 to 2 million people on a yearly basis without a deal to use their name. Football Manager were never going to get away with it. Absolutely. Tito says, but I don't like my job/employer. Certainly wouldn't cry over them. I mean, and that's the thing, though. I mean, a lot of people have said that similar sort of thing, and a lot of people go, yeah, but Messi's already worth millions. He's already got enough money to retire on. He's already got enough money for his kids to retire on. And it's like, yeah, but we're not in communism. It's not a communist society where he's earned enough now he gets cut off. This is a capitalist society. The foundations of our society is that if you've got skills and products and licenses and ideas and whatever that you can monetize, you have the freedom to do that. You can lift yourself out of the dirt and into the skies. But then once you're in the skies, no, you can't go any further. That's it. No, it's like, well, that's a glass ceiling. You've put restrictions on how far people can go. If people can lift themselves out of the mud, why can't people lift themselves through the clouds in that sort of sense? So, yeah, I mean, I did find myself saying, surely if Messi was that bothered that he would drop his wages to play for Barca, and then I realised that he had dropped his wages by 50%. And even if he had dropped his wages entirely, they were already over budget. They couldn't put him into the team. It's a La Liga thing. There's all sorts of other political stuff apparently going on. I mean, take with a pinch. I saw comments saying that the La Liga TV licensing deals, which people are claiming have been put in place to stop any future Super League plans. Barca didn't agree to that, so the La Liga have put the pressure on Barca to try and get them to bend backwards to keep Messi and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It could be, could not be.
I saw something on the Messi thing saying that I think you're only allowed to spend like something. It's like 75% of money that they earn on. Yeah, on the salary, but Barcelona was at 105%. So even if Messi was to play for, something, it was around that, So even if he was to play for £1, his contract for 3 years was £1, they would still be over. Like it's mental. Like a lot of people, I know it's rich coming from me now because I've just got the percentages wrong, but I understand enough to know that even if he was to play for £1, like you can't play for free. If he was to play for £1, he'd still be over. He wouldn't actually be able to sign the contract. But it's amazing how people seem to forget that. Like they're just not even looking or just taking the piss, saying, "Well, if you loved it that much, you'd play for free." No, I don't think it works like that, pal.
And the thing is, though, is like that's a sentiment shared by. I mean, that is sentiment separated from business. And we all would love to play for Barcelona. If we'd earned millions, we'd love to play for Barcelona for free. Because we don't have millions and we don't play for Barcelona for free. But you, let's say you've worked for 15, 20 years of your life. You started out on I don't know, 10 grand, 15 grand or whatever your starting salary is. You're now 40 grand or whatever, 50 grand, whatever figure you want to pick out. And then someone's going to go, oh, well, you've earned some big money now. Like 20 years ago, you'd have been well happy at 30 grand and you're now on 50 grand. So do you want to just drop down to 30 grand? It's like, no, I've fucking earned my way here. I've built up to this point. And it's the same thing. Yes, it's different amounts of money, but the same philosophy still applies in that sort of sense. So Messi shouldn't necessarily have to drop off and play it for free. But even if he could have done, he couldn't have done because it wasn't possible. I mean, I tweeted something out saying yesterday it was interesting watch that conference. I watched it live, and you could see that Messi was told there was things that he could and couldn't say. There's probably legal conversations going on between Barcelona and La Liga. So he just had to keep saying generic phrases like, we did all we could. We've tried everything. We can't do any more. And it's like, what does that mean? It's like, well, you clearly can't tell us what that means. You can see he was gutted, and he would like to do more, and he would have liked to have said more probably, but he couldn't have done because of things.
Tito, is that not just bad management of their budget? I think whoever it was that was potentially looking after their budget probably needs a good hiding. But things could have changed over the last month or two since the Super League stuff, where they've just put a cap on everything. I mean, I would absolutely be in favour of, and this is again rich coming from someone whose club is state owned pretty much. So if he was to have a salary or a transfer cap, that I would absolutely be in favour of that. I would have been in favour for that 20 years ago, but it isn't. Football isn't football anymore and hasn't been for 30 years. It's a business. If your club is a global brand, it's not a football club anymore. Let's be honest. Like, fair enough, you are going to be winning stuff on the pitch that makes you a global brand and stuff like that, but football is not football anymore. That's why I think genuinely I've kind of fallen out of love with football. Like, I watch City matches every single week. Like, there's absolutely no way that I'm ever going to miss it, especially when I get to watch it with my granddad. But I used to have football on in the house all day, every day. It doesn't matter if it's a non-league game. It doesn't matter if I'm going to Ewan Fields to go watch Hyde United. It doesn't matter if I'm watching fucking Tranmere play or whatever. Like, it could be the Iranian third division. It doesn't matter. I just watch the football. But genuinely, I don't know. It just feels tainted to a degree because football is not football anymore. It's genuinely a business, but that's what it is. It's when things become so successful, there's no way that you can't. There's no way that it can stay the same. It has to evolve, and that's exactly what's happened.
I mean, completely, well, not a complete tangent, but a bit of a tangent. On the weekend, I was like, I've been meaning to do it for like the last 2-3 weeks. I'm going to do it. I'm going to Google why we don't have a Great Britain football team. I know we did for 2012 as a special occasion, but why we didn't even have to. I think we chose to have one because we got a buy into it and we didn't have to go through qualification rounds. And I could be getting this wrong because I was kind of skim reading, but the gist of it is to qualify for these Olympics, you have to qualify as Great Britain. By putting England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales into one team, that potentially could jeopardize their each home nation's ability to play as a home nation going forward. So Scotland lose their team. FIFA could see that the fact that Scotland doesn't need a Scotland team, they could be part of a Great Britain team, which damages Scottish football at national level. But anyway, long story short, FIFA and stuff, going through the 2012 stuff and conversations afterwards, have said there would be no danger if we wanted to have a Great Britain football team at the Olympics, which we've just seen. There was a Great Britain's women's football team at the Olympics, but there wasn't a Great Britain's men's football team. And that is because of stroppy little businessmen, and that's business. So people will go, oh, yeah, but it's the big clubs. It's not my club. You don't see it in whatever, but no, you see it everywhere. The Welsh FA and the Scottish FA and the Irish FA and the English FA couldn't agree terms because they felt that they weren't getting a fair roll of the dice. I saw stories saying that other FAs thought the English FA were like big dick in the dressing room kind of thing. Like, yeah, we're the English FA, we've got all the stars, so yeah, we'll do what we want, this, that, and the other. And it's like it's the Olympics. It's the Olympics. This is probably the biggest sporting celebration that exists. Not necessarily the biggest sporting event, but the biggest sporting celebration. It covers so many different fields, quite literally, that surely it should be easy for a fucking team to be thrown together. But no, people just couldn't agree on who gets the biggest say, who gets the lion's share, who gets to make the decisions, who's steering the ship. And it's like, just pull it together and sort that shit out, because how easy and how well supported was the women's Great Britain football team? But the men's football team, naturally, because of the install base for male football, would have been massive, but we just couldn't sort it out. And that's the thing. It's like football and business cannot be separated. But people are happy to do that when it applies to them or when it applies to someone else, but when it applies to them, not as much, kind of thing, which is a shame. Which is a shame. Anyway, going to continue going back through the comments. Messi will be easy to get any football if he doesn't transfer. Is this going to cascade into other teams saying the same? It could do. Which is where I come back and say I would like United to just give up the brand because I'm a user and it's just easy and stuff. But they are potentially within their rights. Like I say, lots of grey area, fine details and minutiae in licensing laws and what can and cannot be copyrighted and so on. Everyone assumes Manchester is fine. Manchester United is not, but it's not necessarily that clear cut. If you can give me something specifically, all of the details for, and again, it's like where there's the special instances and occasions, but nobody has that level of detail. We assume you can't use Manchester United and so on. So it could be the start of a new trend. It could be a way for clubs to start going, actually, we'll take some money off that, please. I mean, I know you were using West Bromwich Albion anyway, but we want. Do you know what? 50 grand. We'll just call it 50 grand, and it could just start off small, where clubs start asking for little bits, and then soon as Chelsea go, oh, well, if West Brom are 50 grand, we're clearly 500,000, mate, and then it could just start going that way. It could do. It might not be. It has to be Konami's deal with Man United, says Ads. Nothing to do with Konami's deal with United at all, says Mr. T. It's quite simple using the United name without any sort of deal. I agree. I do not believe that this would be a Konami thing at all. This is Man United. Man United are a massive commercial property. They've probably got more teams dealing with commercial licensing than Konami have. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Konami have got shitloads of different IPs and properties. I don't know, but they've got their own teams that will be doing that. It won't be anything to do with Konami at all. Some people will be buying Football Manager solely to play as Manchester United, and the club know that. Hell, SI Sega know that, 100%. I don't think he should play free. However, both Messi and Barca are complicit in this. They create the problem. Messi taking silly money in fees and wages, and Barca doing it. But Messi is not taking silly money and fees. He's taking silly money and fees in relation to your salary and what you are worth to a company. But Messi, I saw something like he was worth, I can't even remember the figure, but some astronomical figure in shirt sales alone. Forget everything else that he brings to Barcelona. So silly money, but it's relative, so that it's not necessarily silly money in that sort of sense. Yeah, it's stupid money for us. Was it like 600 million a year or fucking something like that? Maybe not 600 million a year. Maybe it was. Maybe it was 600 grand a week. I can't remember what. There was a 640 something in there. I can't remember. But big money, stupid money. Yeah. But not for the greatest or one of the greatest that the world's ever seen.
Surely it's all relative, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he's getting paid that wage because they could financially afford it, and the money that they got from. Do you know what the biggest myth in football is genuinely the shirt sales thing. Like, yeah, the United one for us. Did you get something like 12 million for the having Adidas? Or it might even be more than that. It might be 12 million a year, and Adidas gets something like 15% or whatever it is from any shirt sales that get done. And people think that if you sign a player for 100 million, you'll get that back in about 3 months because someone's buying a football shirt with the name on the back. Like, that is the biggest myth in football. I don't understand why people think that a shirt sale, it will help. It will definitely chip away at it, but it's never gonna recoup the loss that you're gonna end up gonna get for shelling out for the player in the first place.
The thing is, as well, is like say you buy Jack Grealish for 100 million. Okay, well, all you need to do is figure out the cost of a shirt, divide that by how many shirts you're going to sell, and then you've got your 100 million. All right, then. Great, nice. But then he charges you £350,000 a week. Where's that money coming from? How many shirts are you selling every week?
It's just in football Twitter when it comes to stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we'll buy Neymar for 200 million, and then we'll sell a couple of shirts, and there you go. There's your 200 million back. I genuinely don't think that people think about stuff in any kind of financial, because it's not coming out of their pocket. So why should they? But you just come across as a fucking idiot. But yeah, it's a very difficult line to be able to be told, especially in a Messi situation. because at the end of the day, you've got one of the best footballers in the world. If there was one person in this world that is going to sell you football shirts, it's going to be him or Ronaldo. So if that was the case, they'd have been able to secure him for the next 10 years, but they haven't because they're fucked.
I mean,
Like I seen that Inter Milan were going into administrative, we're going into liquidation. Inter fucking Milan. Inter Milan, one of the greatest teams Europe has ever seen, is meant to be being liquidated because they can't afford to keep the players that they've got, which is why Lukaku is being sold. I think Martinez is on
Lautaro.
his way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, football clubs like that should never have to go under.
I mean, I
But
think
they are.
I mean, jumping back to Celo's comment, I don't think he should play free. However, both Messi and Barca are complicit in this. They created the problem. Messi taking silly money in fees and wages, and Barca doing it. I don't think Messi's at fault there. I do like if he's being offered that money, then why would he not take it? If he's good enough to be offered,
books, is he?
and I don't think it's on. It's not right to blame people that are earning mega money. You blame the system, not the hierarchy. It's like when you see someone gets high money, and someone go, but yeah, ambulance staff are working on 20 grand a year, and it's like, and that's not Messi's fault. That's the people in government that are not paying ambulance staff enough. It's not Messi's problem. He's not taking it out of their pot. It's something completely different, and it's. Like I was reading some once again just Twitter threads over the weekend about where Barca has thrown money away in terms of like just throwing stupid money at shit players, like 20, 30, 40, 50 million without even considering it. Stupidly high wage budgets for players that they're bringing in, and yet. You can't blame any one of those players for taking the money that they were offered, but that all comes down to the backroom staff. It's Barca that are at the issue there. I always get them wrong. Is Bartomeu the one who's there now, and Laporta was the one who's gone, or is it the other way around? I can't remember. Whichever way it is, whichever one has gone, he oversaw. I think it's Joseph Bartomeu. Fuck knows. Anyway, he oversaw. A long period of stupid spending, and there was a thread breaking down where it is, and none of the players are at fault because they play and they apply their trade enough to get. Madge.
I sup hello, I sup pish.
I sup hello, I sup pish. Yay! I sup pish too. Thank you very much for 14 whole months. I appreciate it. But yeah, no, there's no issue with the player taking it. The issue comes before that though. Is players and their managers are playing the game. It's the clubs that are poorly managed. If a manager comes to you and goes, 100 million for Grealish, 350,000 a week, and you can't afford that, well, no, you're all right, mate. And that's it. If someone else can afford that, then they buy it. If somebody else can't really afford that and buy it, well, that's on them. Their club will go under as a result. And that's kind of thing. I mean, like you say, it's a lesson to all clubs. I think it's a very good lesson to all clubs. Aston Villa, like their statement, that which was a very good statement, by the way, on the sale of Grealish, saying that they didn't want to get rid of him. They wouldn't entertain stupid money offers until it was very stupid. But City can afford it. Aston Villa would absolutely benefit for generations to come. Well, generations of squads to come by taking 100 million for one player, and yeah. That makes sense. They can afford to adopt and take that money elsewhere. Barcelona, though, clearly has been operating at a mega loss for such a long period of time that they've just it's criminal to see a club of such stature and size being ran into the ground at that level. And if Messi's wage structure is a part of that, then fair enough. But there's all sorts of other benefits that he brings to the club, and if they've deemed him as worthy of that, then that's their problem, not his problem. He's proved himself to be worthy of that to them for them to pay it. He can't, because of La Liga's fair play rules, you can't drop wages more than 50%. Barcelona have to sell around 5 players to be afloat, I have heard. Is that not just bad management of their budget? Yeah, very bad management of their budget. The comment I heard was that they were trying every creative solution to the problem, which is not a comment. What does that mean? Yeah. That's we can't say anything, so we're not going to say anything, but we're going to say something whilst not saying anything at all. Been playing Max Payne, one on my phone. Surprisingly okay to play with the phone. Good morning, Lake. All these clubs on the brink have to be thinking salary/transfer caps. Real, Barca, Inter, Juve, all struggling. Massive clubs could go to the wall. And
why should it get to that point, though? If these clubs are looking at it, because they're technically going under, and now they're trying to enforce it, they were the problem in the first place. Yeah. Like the teams that are going under now were historically teams that used to spend big on money, big on transfers in the first place. Like they can't have it both ways. Like you helped shape the market as what it is. Don't forget, Barcelona took 220 million for Neymar, and they're still fucked. Like they just throw money away on shit players. Like
130 million on Ousmane Dembele, and was it like 150 million on Coutinho, who had one very good season? He had a couple of decent seasons, don't get me wrong, but he had one very good season at Liverpool. 150 million, pow!
Yeah,
it's like,
if you're helping shape the transfer market and then it comes back to bite you on the ass, that's your problem. Nobody else's. It's your own fault. But it is what it is.
I do think there are other economic things in there in terms of like the Premiership being so high money and other clubs trying to keep up with that and so on. But those are different conversations, and it's more about, okay, managing your own budgets. If they can't be competitive with the Premiership at that point in time, that's where salary and transfer caps do need to come into play. And the only reason they've been discussed previously isn't necessarily for, I mean, we keep getting financial fair play discussed, but the financial fair play conversation has been more about stopping clubs going bust rather than trying to keep football competitive. And that's where the conversation needs to kind of change the focus. Is financial fair play is about being fair. The clue is in the name. If you're all spending the same money and you're all hitting the same things, then yeah, you kind of hamstrung in the potential for progression of the sport or certain teams or certain areas like the Premiership. But you make it more competitive throughout, kind of stuff. Anyway, that's a completely different conversation. Yeah. We have spent quite a lot of time in this, so we'll put a pin in this. I'm just going to carry on going through the comments. Has to be global though. Can't see the Prem agreeing as they're sitting pretty. Yeah, exactly. Celtic have a wage structure. That's why we had to bring in huge names. It's also because it's Celtic and no one will come. Look at Hart. He was on 40k a week at Spurs, 15k a week at Celtic. Vern says modern football is soulless. Chris Burr comment the other day. You've got to applaud Joe Hart. Not content with sitting on the bench at Spurs and watching a car crash of a season, he's gone to Celtic so he can experience it firsthand for himself. Hey! Vern says modern football is soulless, a sanitized product for the masses. Absolutely. How's the hangover, Vern? Not good, but I'm at work. That's the result considering how I feel. It's not like Celtic don't have cash either. 25 million transfer sales already. Tito says 25 billion is nothing nowadays, though. You could get like a leg from Grealish for 25 million. Whatever you think of the NBA, they have it right with salary caps and their trade system. Would make it interesting if it happened in football. Will never happen, though, sadly. Would need FIFA to get involved and can't see them doing that anytime soon. Respectfully, it's silly money. It's ruined Barca's budget. Talk shows on mute says, don't forget the socks. What do you mean? As in, what do you mean?
Shirt sales, people buying socks.
Okay. I was thinking. I remember seeing there was Pez had a licensing thing. Was it with Atletico where they got Pez 2017 on the socks or something? That might have been in the time that Mr. T was there. I can't remember. There was a thing. It was basically
Fulham had it on the bottom of the shirt, didn't they?
Yeah, Fulham on. Or was that chest sponsor? I can't remember. And then there was obviously Juve had it on the back, I think. But yeah, there was a sock sponsor. There was I can't even remember. It's not that important. Mateus Fernandes bought by Barcelona for 10 million, appeared in 0 games and had his contract ripped up this year for him to leave for free. Deals like that crushed Barcelona. Yeah, I mean, Thomas Vermaelen and stuff like that, buying Antoine Griezmann and not really doing much out of him. Like the thread that I went through the other day was basically saying the only player that Barcelona have really done anything with over the last few years has been Pedri. Which, yeah, kind of makes sense. All the players that they've bought in that have just disappeared, midfielders that get swapped, and Pjanic, the Arthurs, and all of those sort of players. When you're spending 40 million, 50 million at a time, if a Premiership club spends 40, 50 million, that's usually key signing in the transfer window. Yes, there might be a Grealish. Yes, there might be a Pogba or something like that. But 40, 50 million is usually a big name player that's going to be part of that squad for the next 5 years. And Barcelona have done 40, 50 million signings back to back to back and just peddled them off, thrown them elsewhere. And that's the difference is, yeah, there's a lot of money in the English game. It's a little bit more strategic or a little bit better planned than what Barcelona has been doing. Barcelona, there's all sorts of conversations around like the purchases were made at the right time to satisfy internal politics, to keep people in seats. So spending money, doing like figurehead signings so that everyone goes, yeah, we've got a good team, and then it actually turns out no, you haven't. But it doesn't matter because you've got yourself an extra 12 months in your political position, kind of thing. From what I've read, it's Barca's at fault. They know La Liga rules. They paid over the top too many players in total disregard of the rules. The previous presidents and the people running the finances getting what they deserve now. Exactly. That's what I've seen it too. And I'm back to work. Stay frosty. Thank you, Lake. Stay frosty. Coutinho's best game was in buying colours as his loan team pumped Barca in UCL. I know, amazing. 6-0 yesterday, no nightmare here. Let's go. 50 million can and has been a bang average squad player in the Premiership. Absolutely, it can be 100%. But also 50 million, that is the ballpark where you get the Bruno Fernandez's. I mean, how much did De Bruyne cost? Wasn't he like...
It was 50 million from Wolfsburg, yeah.
So you can get 50 million players. Not all of them, don't get me wrong. You can spend a lot more than that as well and get bang average players too. But 50 million... doesn't happen all the time in the Premiership. 30 million is quite comfy. 50 million is pushing it a bit. But then you will usually see 2 or 3 transfers a season that go to 60, 70, 80 potentially. But 50 million is a significant spend. Whereas Barcelona, 50 million wasn't a significant spend. It was a... and that was it. The noise was pretty much as much description as they got. Anyway, let's put a pin in that one. We've caught up with the comments. Man United will not be in Football Manager is where all of that transfer / putting the financial fair play world to rights conversation started. Manchester United will not be in Football Manager. Manchester UFC will, or Man UFC, but Manchester United will not. Everything will stay the same though. Use your mods and they will keep the world happy. If you do want to play Football Manager, maybe you've modded it for PC and you want to play it on the go, well, a Steam Deck might be a viable option for doing that. And that is our next news article. Stephanie Miner at The Gamer says Steam Deck will reportedly perform the same mobile or docked. Unlike the Nintendo Switch, having the Steam Deck docked won't enhance performance. So the comparisons between the new Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch have been consistent, and now there is another way in which we can solidly differentiate the two. The Nintendo Switch performs better while it's docked, but the Steam Deck will have no difference in performance regardless of which way you're using it. In an interview with PC Gamer, Steam Deck designer Greg Kuma was asked whether Valve considered a higher power mode when docked. In response, he said yes, but we didn't choose to make it a really high priority design target. We felt that it was actually better, all things considered, to not modify based on docked status or mobile status. Kuma goes on to explain that they wanted to focus on how they felt the Steam Deck would be used most, which they suspect is mobile. Quote, and so since we're focusing on that, we chose like a threshold where the machine will run well and with a good frame rate with AAA games in that scenario. We didn't really feel we should target also going after the dock scenario in higher resolutions. We wanted a simpler design target and to prioritize that. Though it makes sense for Valve to focus on the aspect they believe will be utilized most, we're still a little surprised to hear there won't be any difference in performance between mobile and docked. Just the other day, we also got confirmation that the Steam Deck games can stream games for up to 8 hours, which is a couple of hours longer than you could play games locally. They make it clear, though, that using public Wi-Fi probably won't be enough to pull this off, so you'll need a pretty strong internet connection. Well, that's me fucked. Additionally, though, many games can be played locally for 5 or 6 hours. More intensive titles may only last for around 2. Okay, there's a big roundup. Steam Deck, something completely different. Absolutely still not confusing me all the time. Can play just as good when you're playing it mobile. So take it out of the dock, you're not going to drop down to a different resolution. What are your thoughts, babe?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we're comfortable with it, but we've tried to do that and it hasn't worked. So we're absolutely happy with what we've got here. We haven't tried to make it any better because we feel like this is the best way. I think they have tried to make it a little bit better through the dock, but they might not have the software readily available or the hardware readily available. It wouldn't surprise me in a couple of maybe 12 months after release that they'll invent something. They'll invent a dock where you will be able to do that, and it will upscale. The power will be in the dock itself rather than the handset. I believe if they wanted to do this, they would have done it. I just feel like they haven't because they can't at this moment in time. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want the extra power if you had it readily available? There's no reason why you wouldn't, unless that was to keep the cost down. But if the dock's a completely different cost and it's a lot more expensive, you might be able to buy 2 variations. There might end up being 2 SKUs on the market. I don't know, but I feel like this is kind of a cop out. But I'll take their word for it.
Yeah, I feel this is a it's a PR statement and a short-lived one in that sort of sense. I would say it's a PR statement because, yeah, it's just as good whether you dock it or not is better than saying, actually, if you take it mobile, it's going to not look as good. Okay, well, that's a nice PR statement. We've managed to make it the same, which is a great statement. But it's also, I believe it's not a long-term statement because I think they will get the pressure on them. People will want better quality games. People want more from them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the V2 dock in 18 months' time or something, where they go, okay, that's it. You can get the dock V2 just in time for Christmas 2023-ish sort of thing, which will give you upscaling up to 120 FPS, 4K or whatever. I mean, does it do 4K already, or is it just 1080p?
No, just 1080.
So
I don't think it's 1080. I think it's a smaller resolution than that. I think it's not quite 1080, but it's in between 720 and 1080.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, we see Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Control, Doom, Hades, all like, I mean, not so much Hades, but games in there that can be very, very intensive and look incredible. I wouldn't be surprised if they do start adding things like that down the line. But the best plan of action is to Nintendo it. Yeah, we're absolutely not adding a new Switch this year. Oh, look, there's a new Switch. Ta-da! And that would be the way. I think that's how they're going. Yeah, it's absolutely going to perform the same, docked and whatever. So it's not going to be downscaled. I mean, that's the issue there is you're naturally taking a conversation. Like the Switch gets better when it's docked, whereas this doesn't. So that sounds like it's a negative, but that's because of like, what's the word I'm looking for? The way that the people going into that with a preconception that docking it will give more power, whereas they want to reverse the conversation, saying, why should you lose power when it's not docked? And that's kind of where they're going. They're fighting against the norm. The norm is docking gives power. They're saying, no, just have power. Docking is, if that's it, then the dock becomes a hamstring that you can't take anywhere with you. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do go against that further down the road and either have a new Steam Deck version 2.0 or a Steam Dock 2.0, which changes that. Bloody hell, Steam Deck Dock. I can't say Xbox Boss, so what chance have I got saying Steam Deck Dock? Yeah, exactly. I know it was a video I posted, but did you watch the video from Lannis Tactics because they managed to get 4K 60 hertz out of it on an external monitor?
No, it's on my watch list, but it's like 25 minutes, so I wasn't going to watch that this morning when I was getting the news prepared, because I would waste a lot of time watching it, but it's on my watch list of things to do. Yeah, I love Linus anyway.
Yeah, videos are the content that we will cover the least because there's no skimming it, there's no cutting content out of it, and you can't look at the words on screen. You have to keep jumping backwards and forwards through timestamps. So yeah, that 4K 60 hertz, nice. But that's the point though. If they can get 4K 60 hertz out of it already, then I mean, do they need a dock? Are they right in saying, well, we can get 4K 60 hertz on an external monitor? I mean, you can get decent enough gameplay and you can still technically increase it if you want to go that sort of way. Obviously, Linus Tech Tips is way different from someone like me. He probably has a few of these already and can do what he wants with it, whereas I will get one and will not take risks with it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Watch the video in Discord. It's an impressive bit of kit. I have zero interest in. No, it's an impressive bit of kit. I have zero interest in. That's the way it should have been. How many use the Switch out and about and not just on your sofa? I don't see portable gaming in the bus, etc., especially PC games, which are in longer sessions than mobile.
I use mine all the time. I don't know if I'm an anomaly, but I like, if I go to my granddad's, I'll take it. If I go to my sister's, I'll take it. If I go to my mum's, I'll take it. Like, I don't get on the bus, so I don't need to use it. But if I'm going on long car journeys and Samantha's driving, I'll be playing on my Switch. Like, I play mine.
I don't, and I think that's because my interests. There's a gap in the market for my interests. I want to play PUBG. There's no portable PUBG other than PUBG Mobile, which I can play every now and then. But it's scaled down too much for me to be fully invested there. Or a Master League. If I could take my save and continue it on the go, fair enough. For me to start a new Master League every time, which is the kind of things that I've done, playing old school PES on my my Vita kind of thing, then yeah, I'll do that. But that only lasts so long because you want to get back to using Costolo and Co for ICUFC and continuing that save and going that way, yeah. But there's none of that to continue that. The Steam Deck potentially gives me that opportunity there. Maybe, I don't know. And
wait for everybody else to do it first before you buy it.
Yeah, exactly. If it plugs a gap there, so I can start a save and then continue it elsewhere, yes, please. I will take that. Thank you very much. Speaking about taking things, thank you very much. We'll jump through our last two stories quickly so we can wrap things up for the day. You want something new? How about something old but new? We'll give you something old but new, and then we'll follow it up with something old and still old. So this is your old but new bit of news. Vikki Blake at Eurogamer says there's a new South Park game in development, and this one is a 3D game. There's reportedly a new South Park game in development. According to Bloomberg, a recent deal struck between South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone and Viacom CBS, allegedly valued at around $900 million or £648 million over 6 years, seals several new series and spin-off movies for streaming service Paramount Plus. The story also references a new 3D video game that is set in the world of South Park, which will seemingly be developed not in collaboration with Ubisoft or its partners this time, but is instead underway at an in-house studio. Right now, there's no other information available, so whether or not the game will continue the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Buttholes RPG style or try something new remains to be seen. It won't be the first time South Park Digital Studios has collaborated on video games, though. The studio is credited on both the Fractured Butthole and the Stick of Truth, and most recently worked alongside Red Lynx and Ubisoft on the 2017 mobile game Phone Destroyer. Quote, South Park, The Fractured Butthole is an RPG with tangible qualities and enjoyable passages. I do love enjoyable passages in my butthole. But without the bite or imagination you'd expect of the name, we said in a review. Okay, well, let's stop there. We don't need to go through the other bits. That's just putting extra stories in. But there is a new South Park game in development. I would usually go, would you play a new South Park game? But I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna go a different angle. So Paramount Plus has signed a deal with Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Viacom CBS to get shitloads of new content. Is this Paramount's Netflix gaming avenue? Could this be the start of something like that? But anyway, all sorts of bits, angles in there. Babe, what are your thoughts?
Potentially it could be, yeah. I mean, I love South Park. Like the two games that they brought out, the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole. I can see Tito saying the same way that I would have gone. Like, I love the first game, the second one just didn't have the same feel when playing it, and I can't explain it. Whereas Asim says, I love the second one more, but I enjoy both a lot. Like, I loved the first one. The second one didn't quite click with me, and I don't know why. But they were both fantastic games. It was both so funny. It genuinely, like, it was like watching 4 or 5 episodes. It was that good. Like, it just, yeah, it's a South Park game that I didn't know I needed and I didn't know I wanted, but when I played it, it was absolutely everything. It was so good. I'm interested to see what they do with the third one though. Like, well, I say third one with this 3D one. Like, are they going to go for, like, we've had 3D South Park games before and it was all toilet.
Back
like,
on the PS1.
The first, and the Nintendo 64 and the PC, and it just wasn't good games. This kind of broke the mold. It's like they're taking put all their attention and storyline writing into creating this video game. If they can do that and replicate it in 3D, it's game over, man. Like, are we going to get something like Simpsons Hit and Run? Like, I genuinely don't know. It could be absolutely endless of what we could get from them. But I would have, and to be fair, I would have loved more DLC for the Stick of Truth. Instead, we got Fractured Butthole. I don't know where they're going to go with it. Either way, I'm excited because it genuinely is, like, for me, it's South Park, Family Guy, Simpsons. I know that not always that. Forget about Rick and Morty and stuff. I've never seen it, but growing up, that's the order. It's obscenely funny, and they get. I think they could probably get away a lot more in video games than they probably could on TV, which excites me a little bit more.
I mean, forget all of the Fractured Butthole and Stick of Truth. Let me get a death match where you can throw snowballs at each other and you can pee on the snowball to power it up. I want to throw yellow snowballs. If I don't get that, then South Park, you let me down. You let me down. I mean, that's what it is. Forget. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see where this goes. I mean, obviously from a South Park perspective, my angle of South Park is I kind of thought it had finished. Not necessarily finished in terms of it stopped making content or whatever, but I didn't realize that it was almost $1 billion worth of IP there. 900 million they're looking at. Woo! Okay, that's a lot of money. So I'm intrigued to see where that does go, and intrigued to see more on the Paramount Plus side of things. Paramount Plus, for those that don't know, Paramount Plus has access to things like Champions League football and so on. So if you're in America and you want to watch Champions League football, Paramount Plus has all of that sort of stuff. So you subscribe to that like you would with a Netflix or a Disney Plus or whatever, and you get shitloads of Paramount TV films and so on, but you also get a shitload of sports. So if they're branching out into video games as well, then is that a sign that the video games industry will continue to be branching outwards? We've seen Netflix, Paramount Plus, are they pushing for this content, or is this content that will just be pushed into it? I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see.
I've just seen one of the comments that just sum it up for me. I never even thought. Well, visually, I think that this is why the 3D games failed so badly in the first place. But someone just put South Park is intrinsically 2D. The characters are literally cut out of paper, albeit digitally these days. Why on earth would you want to make this trademark aesthetic 3D? It'll make the characters look strange and unrelatable. For one, practically guaranteeing any humor will fall flat. I think that's why the last two Ubisoft versions of the game were so good, because it was like watching an episode or the South Park film. It was like that, but genuinely you could just control the characters, WAS and D, moving them left, right, up and down around the town. It was perfect. Like, that is what you want. You want to be engrossed. That, like, it was laugh out loud, literally, like Bibby laughing, crying, can't breathe because it's that funny. That's what I want, and I think it will lose that when it goes to a 3D game, because it has done previously. They've got Farm 4 doing it, and it was shit. So why would they change it up?
It kind of, you lose the aesthetic. So this is the natural desire to want to push things forward. So if you were playing a side-scrolling game in the 90s and then the characters from those have progressed into 3D worlds, okay, that's natural progression. Fair enough. Your Castlevanias from the 90s are very different from Lords of Shadow, for example. Obviously, some people will prefer the old ones. Some people not asked about side-scrolling stuff. It's just that's just modern technological progression. Getting rid of the side-scrolling because that was all you could manage at that point in time versus 3D worlds. But South Park was animation, it was TV, and it wasn't that they were confined to to flat 2D content. That was a design choice, and when you take that away, they definitely do lose some of their appeal. So seeing Cartman without any 3D depth is fine, but when you lift Cartman out, he's actually pretty similar. The only thing is his body's a cone. With a ball sat on top for his head. The ball is slightly different shape from Kenny's. No, Kenny's head's entirely a cone with the end chop. It just doesn't look and feel the same. It's just a bit, all right. It feels a bit low budget, but that's the point. You kind of buy into the low budget when it's 2D. When you put it into 3D, it's kind of like, hey, look at how low budget this is in multiple dimensions. And it's just, no.
To be fair, the Family Guy game was really, really good. I can't remember. It was something Return to the Multiverse or something. It was on the 360. Me and Samantha played that an absolute ton. I think we completed it 2 or 3 times. It was that good, and you could do co-op on it. It was brilliant. If they could do something like that, that would be great. But still, like, they've got a good thing going with the Ubisoft versions of the game. Why would you want to change that?
Well, they clearly have reasons for wanting to do that. They will be changing that. A new South Park game is in development. It's 3D. It's not the same. We'll give you all the news on that when we get more. But for now, we'll wrap things up with one final story about a game that not is or will be, but almost was. Jody Macgregor at PC Gamer has this. It says, watch a trailer for Gearbox's cancelled Duke Nukem prequel. Let's hit play on the trailer. I'm going to keep it muted.
Yeah. Rage Against the Machine on it.
Yeah. So there you go. Complete with Rage Against the Machine soundtrack. So I don't want the DMCA because, fuck that shit. But we'll hit play. Sadly, we'll lose a little bit of the aesthetic, but we can put a link to the article into the chat if anyone does want to watch it with the trailer. But during some... Actually, let me scroll down a little bit so I can keep the trailer on for as long as possible. So during some of the many years in which a follow-up to Duke Nukem... Follow-up to Duke Nukem 3D was in development. Hell, a prequel called Duke Nukem Begins worked on a Gearbox, an origin story detailing what I'm sure would have been a rich backstory for the character. A studio called Janimation were hired to make a cinematic demonstrating Duke Nukem Begins in 2008, but before the game was put on hold and finally cancelled to a legal dispute over the character. The video was directed by Gregor Punchatz, who also worked as a modeler on the original Doom games and Rise of the Triad. Punchatz previously leaked some of this footage in 2019 and has decided to upload it now in full. Quote, because it is still a piece I am damn proud of, and I am releasing it 13 years after its creation. The whole team that worked with me deserve to see this released into the wild. I hope this somehow resurrects this version of the game by showing the world how awesome it would have been. This mock-up shows Duke Nukem Begins as a third-person shooter with 4-player co-op in which Duke dual wields pistols and shotguns, as well as using a pig's arm as a melee weapon. Was it with pigs today? He also has some of the Duke 3D's memorable weapons, the Shrinker and Freeze Thrower, but it's kind of odd to see Duke in third person. I guess the series started as a 2D platformer, so there wouldn't be any reason to keep it as an FPS, and it would have been hard for it to come out worse than Duke Nukem Forever eventually did. So there you go. 2 minutes and 15 of Duke Nukem Begins. Have you watched this before yet, Pip?
I have. I watched it this morning, and I was kind of torn. I absolutely love Duke Nukem. I don't think it works nowadays. I think the game would probably get banned because of obviously the nature of what the game was like in the early 90s. It was a completely different place. You know what this reminds me of, this video? And I don't know if you're a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, but the video for Californication.
Dream of Californication. No, I've never heard
That's
it.
what it reminds me of. It's like the way that the video flows and stuff. Because this was obviously for 2008. Like this would have been 360, PS3 kind of game, and graphically it looks okay for the time. It just looks so clunky and heavy. This was definitely directed. Like when they tried to they said this is not real game footage, and it's just, you can see that everything's been orchestrated in a particular way. Like if they released this game, I think this probably would have done worse than Duke Nukem Forever, and that is saying something. It looks like an upscaled version of Duke Nukem Time to Kill. I don't think this would have done well. They did the right thing on pulling it. I would love a new Duke Nukem game, but it has to be first person. And I think if there was there's quite a few games that are coming out that actually have the kind of Doom Duke Nukem vibe, where it's first person pixelated. I think that would be great to go back to that. But don't if this was ever to kind of come out again, I don't think this would do well at all. This looks horrible, in my opinion.
Contrastingly, Madge says that video looks not horrible, to be fair, given its age. I just remember that from that old South Park game, really bad mechanics involving shooting turkeys. The RPG games were class and wonderfully subversive, probably because the creators were heavily involved. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as for this, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never really got into Duke Nukem, and what am I trying to say? I think Duke Nukem is very, very much character driven. It's the character, the story, the persona, his attitudes, the way he acts, and that kind of doesn't work as well in FPS, or it's hard to sell in FPS as opposed to third person perspective. I mean, there's a reason why big story games with personas at the heart of it, the likes of Sony's games we've seen over the last generation, the God of Wars, the Horizons, The Last of Us, Uncharted, all of those, Spider-Man are third-person perspective games, because you're not just lying on the mechanics. You want to build something big for that, and you want to build story. You want to see the characters react to the narrative, to the way that they build and so on. And the only way you could do that in a Duke Nukem sort of game is in the cutscenes and the little bits of voiceover when you're in FPS. So I kind of feel like for a story-driven game like that, it's hard to do in FPS. So I think something like Duke Nukem probably would benefit from being third-person perspective. But Duke Nukem's core storylines, its sentiment and so on, is a little bit dated. Let's put it that way. So if you're going to make a third-person / first-person FPS crossover that's story-based, I think you're probably safer and better off.
Afternoon, gents.
Afternoon, gents. Camaldino, thank you very much for the 10-month Prime. Love you. How's things, dude?
Thank you, mate.
Happy Monday, dude. Appreciate the 10-month sub. Yeah, the gist of what I was going to say then is Duke Nukem's had his day. Give us something new. If you're gonna focus on that, I'm always one for, even though I didn't get into Duke Nukem, I'm always one for bringing the franchises back. I want to see games that people played brought back so that they can enjoy them again. I mean, I do then think about it. I have mixed opinions. Games that are brought back aren't always as good as they could be. Yeah. I mean, Doom's done it very, very well recently, so maybe Duke Nukem could do. And we all clamour for games. I mean, how many times? Just last night I was seeing more Blue Box Studios or whatever they're called, that Hassan cameraman, the one that's not Hideo Kojima but is Hideo Kojima but isn't Hideo Kojima, it was taking off again yesterday, kind of thing, that conversation, because everyone wants remade Metal Gears and remade Silent Hills and remade this and the other. So I'm on board for it, but I think Duke Nukem is one that we could probably just step away from and build out a different story, in my opinion. Mad says Duke, however, has had his day. Bulletstorm, Serious Sam 3, Shadow Warrior 1 and 2 have taken the formula and expanded on it. Dave says Duke stole most of his best lines from the Evil Dead films. There you go. Just make some Evil Dead games. I mean, we've got Ash and The Walking Dead, or Ash versus the Evil Dead, or whatever it was called on Netflix. Still not watched. So yeah, we'll just dance some games of that. Nice. Okay, we are going to put a pin in things. Thank you everyone that's stuck around for the stream today. Starting a new week off with a bunch of scoops. Madge, thank you very much for the 14 whole months, and Cam with the 10. You love to see it. Thank you very much, boys. Make sure you're both in the Discord. I think you are already, so you can get involved in the loot drop. We haven't decided what this month's loot drop is going to be. We did start the conversations last week, saying we're going to have a look at what games are out at that point in time. There may be a couple of games that are coming out alongside the period where we wrap up the loot drop, i.e. the first Monday of a month. So we'll see what games are coming out at that point in time. We'll throw in a couple of other bits like some Muscle Moose options or some merchandise options from ICU, so you guys can choose what you would like to see, and then one subscriber will win that at the start of next month. So yeah, nice. We'll put that post out. Do you know what? We'll put that out this week, so we can have a couple of weeks of votes, so you guys can a couple of weeks of prep, should I say, building up to that, so you know what is coming. Last month we didn't decide. We left it open until the last week, so you only knew like a week before what you were getting, whereas we'll flatten that off and decide that a little bit earlier this time. But for now though, we are going to disappear. If you do want to see some Duke Nukem-esque over the top of gore and gunplay, it's not really Duke Nukem-esque, it's just the cheesy tangent that I'm throwing to shoehorn it back into the segue, that's what I'm looking for, into the next bit of streaming content on this channel. Bibby will be streaming Back 4 Blood, and Bibby will probably be streaming Back 4 Blood with me, although I do need to download 20 gig of games, so we'll see how long it takes me to get in. But myself and Bib will be streaming Back 4 Blood on this channel after the scoop. So we'll jump off, we'll get reset, and then we'll jump back on. So if you want to see some Back 4 Blood, or if you have access to the beta on console, is it crossplay or is it just PlayStation only doing it?
Pass. Genuinely no idea. I think it might, because it's only a beta, it might just be local. It's always the same platform.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you got access to the beta on your PlayStation, then you could potentially jump in with us, because it's obviously 4-man teams. If not, then bugger yourself. Then whatever. I don't even care, mate. Yeah. Whatever. Before that, though, before we jump back on with Back 4 Blood, and before we come back tomorrow with more Scoopy content, Mr. Bib, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yes, again, thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Scoop today. We very much appreciate it. But if you want to help, Asim just said it's full-on crossplay. That's great style. Thank you very much for clearing that one up. But if you want to help shape our show, there is 2 ways that you can do that. First of all, find us on social media. It's at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or get involved with our Discord. If you are watching this on any of our on-demand services, then all you need to do is go into the description below. All the links will be there for you. All we need from you is URL plus your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
The show will be at 10 a.m. Ish. 10 a.m. ish. We do go live on Twitch whenever we can around the worky stuff. We aim for 10 a.m, but it's not always on the money, which is why we've got the ish emote. We've even got a triggered animation emote for days where we don't go live until like 2 hours later. So yeah, 10 a.m. ish. But that's it from us. Have a fantastic day. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know that you watched. Write Bibby is a spooner in the comments. If nobody wrote Bibby's a spooner, then fine, don't. But that's it. Yeah, have a lovely day. We will see you tomorrow for the scoop, and we'll see you before then with some Back 4 Blood. Until then, stay
frosty.